hello, welcome in. It's been a while, I know. A lot has been going on behind the scenes. Not limited to health, more health. Just when I thought December couldn't give me anything more, January started with more health news in the family, in the house, and then a run of food poisoning. But nevertheless, we are here, we are back. I'm slowly regaining strength. And I'm keen to finally get back to working on some novels. It has been a time. So, hello, welcome in. I'm Adara. People tend to mistake me for an angel. I am... That is, understandable. A lot of people do. There is no halo. I did manage to work out that I am a wind spirit. And you can check me out on this form on Fridays, Saturdays, over at Adara Unwinds, where I do gaming, colouring, and the like. But every Monday is reserved for my author work. And in this case, today, I'm going to be working on some revisions for Drawing Wed's sequel. Drawing Wed was my paranormal romance and sci-fi fusion debut for young adults. Instead of doing 3 25-minute sprints, I'm going to see if I can keep this to an hour, so there will be 3 20-minute sprints with 5-minute gaps in the middle. Life has been all over the place, including I am running a new PC, this setup on a PC instead of a laptop, because my laptop was essentially giving out. It was already on its last legs, so we will see how it works. I can't give you a preview yet on this new setup of the work that I'm doing. I used to have a mechanism where I could blur that out, and I can't have that anymore. The plugin doesn't seem to have worked. Now I'm on a different version of OBS. It's very bizarre. Saying that, let's hop over to a writing and work format. Here we are. I've got a printout of the first draft. At the moment, I'm still reading through it, taking notes on things that I can improve on in every chapter. I'm still at plot level for revisions. And I just say revisions are magic. They turn what I think of as just a plot or story into a novel. They're wonderful. So I'm going to be setting off doing chapter 9. Let me know what you're working on in the chat. And lurkers are always welcome. So are time travellers for anyone watching this VOD. And it's so good to be back. I don't think I'll have the energy to do a monthly roundup yet. Instead, I would rather get some work done and share this space with you guys. I also have on my desk at the moment, on my monitor, a spreadsheet where I am going down and listing all the changes I have found that I need to make so far. And I can get very picky. In 8 chapters, so far I'm up to 72. Some of those are just double check this detail, double check that detail, that sort of a thing. Names, locations, is this transport realistic, blah blah. So that's what I'll be doing today. I'm going to be carrying on, reading through, and I will be typing into a spreadsheet anything that I think needs to be changed, double checked. And once this is done, I then start working my way down the list, making those changes in order. So, with that being said, I think we should start our first working and productivity sprint. You will hear a chime to indicate when it is ended, and you will hear a chime then when it's ready to start work again. In 3, 2, 1, and sprint. Oh, hang on. Fast mode. Right. Do that again. In 3, 2, 1, sprint. And that's time. Welcome in, Foggy Author. Nice to have you here. It's been a while. A lot's been going on. My laptop was basically giving out. I think I remember telling you that it was like propped up on 2 stands with a fan underneath so it wouldn't overheat. It was lagging, it was freezing, it couldn't close, one of the hinges was bust, and eventually the monitor was coming apart. So I've had a fun time over the holidays trying to get a new setup with the PC, doing some test runs, get everything transferred, backed up and the like. That was interesting. Finally getting the last parts right at the point of Ramageddon with prices going through the roof. But here I am, and things seem to be working-ish. And I've been pretty unwell. I thought that December couldn't give me anything more. It did. It went out with a bang. July, I thought January, okay, fresh new start. And then a whole host of other things came up. I was meant to be back a couple of weeks ago, and I need to just stop announcing things. I need to, because as soon as I'm like, yeah, okay, it's Friday, I'll be back on Monday, what happens? That night, food poisoning. And I'm still probably recovering. It's taking a while to get my strength back. Yes, the laptop was literally on its last... I can't even say it was its last legs. It was being propped up by 2 different stands. It was a mess. Yeah, I'm trying to be back as much as I can, but I'm trying to kind of balance things as well. This is my first proper time doing any sort of work in terms of writing. Before that, it's been technical difficulties, health difficulties in terms of caring for the people with health issues. It's been a time, but I'm so pleased to be working on these novels again. I know. I could not believe the food poisoning. It was unreal. Literally unreal. I don't think I've had anything similar for well over 10 years. It was that bad. Who knows? I've probably picked up something from one of the hospital trips or runs I've had to do recently. It could either be that, but it's probably more likely something I've eaten. I'm not entirely too sure. I'm leaning towards what I've eaten, but maybe there was something kind of there in the background that I've picked up. Yeah, when you're kind of housebound and then you have to go to a number of different hospital appointments for you, for other people, the only place I really go to is hospital appointments or doctor's appointments, then I may have very well picked something up as well, or just kind of to lower the immune system. I'm very slowly building up, but one thing I have been able to do now is really use this model to its full potential. So there really isn't as much lag as there used to be with this, now that I have a big upgrade with tech, which I am so pleased about. Number 1, art hands. I like this. Every now and again it'll just pop up. I think we all remember Confused. We remember love eyes, and hearts. Crying, yeah, I think we had that one. Red face, embarrassed. Shadow is a new one, and I'm loving now how reactive this thing is. And of course we have the pan. And we have my book. So, hey ho. And one other thing, which I think I remember last time saying that I was some sort of unspecified winged thing and I didn't quite know what it was. I think I've cracked it now. I think I've got it. Which is a wind spirit. I think that's what this model is. I think it's a wind spirit. I stream using this model on Adara Unwinds on a Friday or a Saturday. Tends to be on Twitch. Sometimes direct uploads to VODs to the YouTube on Adara Unwinds, but otherwise, Monday writing sprints here with this model. Time for sprint 2. I'll see you on the other side. And that's time. You're making a very, very, very good point. You're doing one thing, you get distracted from writing, you come back, all of a sudden something's changed, you don't pick it up until the read-through. And considering I basically wrote this first draft over the course of 2 years, there are a lot of inconsistencies. But I'm here. I'm here. Yeah. Washing hair, then bald, then dyeing, dyeing hair, then bald, then blow drying it, and next thing you know, it's a wig. That's why you've got to come in with the fix. There's got to be something that you've got to come in, and then you don't know if you've done it or not, and you're like, I've got to write that you've mixed up the hair, not realising so many chapters in, it was a wig all along, and that's why you wrote it that way, and you just don't remember. I come across that a lot as well. I need to trust myself a bit more sometimes. Give previous Adara, past Adara some credit, but sometimes, my god, the amount of typos in that chapter, I wonder where my head was at. I do. I wonder what caused that brain fog. Anywho, I have finished my read-through of chapter 9. I ended up with 12 things to change, check consistency on, just points to clarify, and I think I'm going to try for my last 20 minutes to see how much I can get done in terms of writing for Project Angel. I left that halfway through a chapter 2 months ago, so I'm mid-chapter. I've got to go back to see what I've wrote, see what else needs to be filled out, and see if I can do a sprint. Stretch my neck. Yeah, there we go. I think it'll be a nice change. I've eased myself with some reading into it, critical head, and now to get the writing brain on. Saying that, I have been doing Wordle still just about every single day. So hopefully my kind of lexicon isn't that bad. I've also done a fair bit of reading. So, that's good. Put this book away now. There we go. I'm looking forward to getting some actual writing done. I'm still between projects. I'm up to... I lost some of the work for the Drawing Red audiobook during the transfer, so I'm having to redo some of that work, which isn't the best, but hey-ho, that's still very slowly, well, something I need to pick up on, really. Still attempting your route of filming myself reading it and putting it out there in terms of videos. I want to get the entire thing done and then put it up at once. Yeah, so that's still going. I'm still doing revisions for Drawing Red sequel, and I'm still doing a first draft of this paranormal romantic comedy, which is, at the moment, called Project Angel. It's either all of them are very slowly moving, or none of them are moving at all. There is no kind of in-between. I do have a timetable I would like to stick to work on different ones throughout the week. We'll see if my energy lets me do that. I already know this week is going to be upset by more hospital visits later in the week. But yeah, we'll see what my energy allows. I'm not going to be that strict with myself this time. I am still quite tired, still quite brain foggy. I think it took me about 3-4 times to read some of those entire paragraphs, just to take in what it was saying, but I got there in the end. To be honest, I think sometimes this is when I do some of my best writing, because the filter kind of gets turned off. I'm not as critical. It's also the time where I'll be looking back at it, it's like, what on earth have you wrote? Typos everywhere. It's one of those things where, even though I have spell check and pro writing aid, it's like I'm writing actual words which are still wrong as typos, so they're not getting flagged. I've come across a number of those. It's like, surely the spell check would have helped me. No, I actually just miswrote an entirely different word. Lovely. Okay. Last sprint. See you on the other side. And that's time. How did everybody get on? I got 393 words. Not bad. Although I think I do need to add one last sentence to this. Let's see where that takes me to. Okay. I think it was a good idea for me to swap gears after that. So revisions for chapter 9 have been logged. And I wrote a very, very small scene. I may need to continue it, I don't know, but it sets me off in a good direction. It was fun. That brings me up to 402 words. 402. There we go. Make a note. Drawing Red 2 was what I was working on the revisions for. So that's all drafted. It took me about 2 years just to get the first draft down. Because I found it was quite dark in tone. And it was hitting rather close to home in a lot of ways. So I took my time with it. So now I'm finally going through and doing the revisions for that. But once I'd finished with chapter 9, I didn't want to start doing the read through of chapter 10 because that hops. It's head hopping to another person's point of view. So I swapped instead, and I'm doing a first draft for what I call Project Angel, which is a paranormal romantic comedy. The case of angels and demons and mistaken identities. Yeah. And I was planning this, kind of plotting it, because I wanted something to cheer me up a lot when things were quite medically not well, and there was a lot of hospital visits going on for people, and I had to sit a lot, and I'm just like, I would love to write a comedy, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm having a ball with it, just kind of typing it out. 2 years is fast, and I'm just reaching 3 years now for Time Clones 2. Yeah, I'm calling it Project Angel at the moment, just as like a little mini code thing for myself. Yeah, paranormal romantic comedy. Cases of angels, demons, and mistaken identities. That's what this comedy's about that I'm writing at the moment. So, I've got a first draft of that going on. I'm working on the revisions for Drawing Red sequel. And I'm working on the audiobook of Drawing Red. So I'm balancing the three. I would be fascinated to see how long it does take you to do Time Clones 2. I'm hoping to get quicker with the production of these novels, but I can't say if I am or not. I know I've got a lot of structure from things I've written in the past, but is it getting any faster? I don't know. At the moment, that's just my little code name. They all have projects. So, for example, Drawing Red was originally Project Kodama of the tree spirit from Japan. At the moment, it's kind of either Drawing Red sequel, or I think when I started plotting the sequel, all my files for that are called Kodama sequel. So I have kind of different names. I find naming the actual book the hardest. I have no idea what I'm calling the sequel. No idea what I'm calling this kind of Project Angel thing either. TC1 was 5 years. 3 years almost done. Yeah, I spent about 5 or 6 years on Drawing Red. So that seems quite familiar. Number 2 is 3 years. Yeah. Drawing Red sequel is about 2 years so far. But that was just for the first draft. It's going to need a lot of work to get this up to scratch. And who knows, I think this paranormal romantic comedy, because it's so light, there's not as much world-building, science-y things. I can get away a lot more with this because comedy. I think this one should be faster than Drawing Red sequel. Yes, Kodama with the K. Yeah, you got it. With the K. Yeah, it's based on the idea of a tree spirit from Japan, was the Kodama, hence the possessed notebook in Drawing Red. And more of them feature in book 2. I'm hoping to make that a trilogy. So you had people, you know, kind of from Earth going into space, seeing the other species. Book 2, kind of people from space from their point of view, and kind of partially on Earth. On Earth doing things, working things out, where they came from, that sort of a thing. And then I'm hoping to set more of book 3 back into space. That was easier because I know the characters and the way I like to write. Yeah, I'm kind of similar. I now know the way that I like to write that. I'm writing Project Angel a fair bit looser, but going back to Drawing Red, it's very much in that world, very much a system. I have different main characters, but it's still the same world, it's still the same continuation of the plot. A lot of the same characters, locations are there, same universe, same people, just 2 different main characters. And a change from 1 main character to 2. I struggled a lot. Most of my time before I started writing that, I was thinking, who is this main character? Is it the one I have in my head? Is it the other one? And eventually I just decided they're both going to get a chapter each. And that was after I said I'd never tried dual POV ever again, after trying to do that first, like that sequel. I found myself doing dual POV for Project Angel as well, so... yeah, why not? Why not? That is what happens. So you're doing a trilogy as well? Yeah, I'm trying to do Drawing Red as a trilogy. Box set status. Amazon doesn't like that, and it's not a physical box. They sometimes pull them from KDP. Yeah, I think it has to be... I think you can kind of class it as a collection. Like the Drawing Red, or the Time Clones collection. You can have it as an ebook. I know Draft to Digital and Smashwords likes those sorts of things. That might be worth looking into. Yeah, I know physical you might have an issue with, but digital should be okay. Dual POV is very difficult, and what I've worked out is it slows me down a lot. Because I always have to stop, because then I've got to wrap my head around who, where, and what is happening with the other character in the next chapter. So when I'm doing sensitivity reading for other authors, if they have dual POV, I'll stick with only 1 head hop a day. So I'll do read through 1 chapter, write notes, and then I will do 1 head hop, see where the other character's at. They tend to mirror each other in terms of plot structures a lot, which is good. But having to keep track of where all the characters are, in a different place, at a different time, what they're doing, who they're with, what's happening, what their goals are, is quite difficult to track sometimes. Yeah, collection. Bet I want to hold the Time Clones trilogy as a hardback in 1. That would be awesome. Are you going to do it kind of like as something quite... like do a print run? So you can get them like properly embellished, embossed, that sort of a thing. Because I know the Book Vault is very good for that. They can do very high quality products like that in if you wanted that. I think they do like frayed edges, sprayed edges, engraving, embossing, that sort of a thing. That would be awesome, but you'd have to kind of buy like a certain amount. That would probably need some upfront stuff and upfront storage, but that could be pretty cool. But I know a lot of people who have digital collections, digital box sets, especially of romance books, like 6 of them in a series just in 1 purchase and download on Amazon. I know that can be quite popular, especially for romance. But I can understand why with sci-fi you'd want something more kind of high quality. Never tried a book run. Yeah, I mean, what I did for my hardback is I went through Ingram Spark and I essentially used their template designer to help me to make a version of it that has like a cover on it. So, like a jacket. The jacket's quite plain, but you can put in all the things like, you know, the bits and pieces of, you know, what people have said about the book on the insides of those. So it's a dust jacket. You can take it off, and then it looks like it's textured, but it's actually printed just to look like the texture. And I've got gold writing on the side with drawing red on it, and it's blue. Is it blue? Now we've got me doubting myself. I'm getting it off a shelf. What I wanted was something for the people who like classics, who've gone to university, and they would never be caught dead with something like a paranormal romance. So I'm having a look at it. Yes, the inside is blue. I've got drawing red in gold on the side, and it really feels quite nice. And it's got this dust jacket on it, just as something a bit more upmarket, really. So this is nice to hold. Do I have to pay up front for Ingram for all the jackets and publishing? It didn't really cost me that much extra. It kind of, you don't have to pay up front, it gets taken out with the price of the print. So a bit like KDP, you know, you pay for them to kind of post and stock and fulfill shipment, and you also pay for the printing, and it's essentially just the paying for the printing of the just jacket as well. They put it on, and they ship it out with it on, and just applied, and it does look really smart. I was surprised I had more sales of the hardback, kind of this. It's very minimal looking. It's just like it's black with an image of an outline, like a silhouette of a grey tree on the front. Very minimalist, very different from a big wolf and a girl in a forest. But I knew what I was aiming for there with minimalism, people who wouldn't want kind of that thing on their shelf. I think you've seen your hardcover on the website. You probably have. It's extraordinarily minimalist. Black, white. The title's just drawing red at the bottom. It just has Adara Spence written on it in very plain writing. Got the blurb on the back. Spence Johnson Publishing at the bottom. In the, let's see, the back of the dust jacket, kind of the inside cover, I've got about the author. Then a little enjoy this book, help the author out and follow readers. And follow readers by leaving a review in the place you bought it. And then the front, little snippets of reviews from readers. I know technically they're meant to go on the back, but I prefer to have it the other way around. Yeah, they do. That's the good thing about Ingram Spark, is they don't charge you up front for things like the dust jackets. Instead, it comes out with a printing cost, but it does mean that you need to boost your price. And I will say that's a big, big difference. My paperback at launch, I believe, was something like $7.99 or $8.99. The hardback is $17.99. That's a big difference. And I think a lot of that comes down to the material of it being hardback, of it having a dust jacket. You don't need the dust jacket, but I think it's a nice touch. And I just used their template for mine. So no artist hired, no Canva, no AI for that. And it also, yeah, just for people who don't want to be involved in that. Very simple. Yeah, it also had the benefit of shifting kind of my pricing. So it's something called price grounding, whereby you would think that because the ebook is cheap, it was like £3.49 or $3.99, that most people would buy that, and that they would stay away from like the $7.99 paperback because it's so much more expensive. But what you then find is, because you have a hardback at $17.99, all of a sudden the paperback looks more attractive. And the majority, about 80% of my sales on my first week were paperbacks. After that were hardbacks, and a tiny little bit were ebooks. Yeah, price grounding. People do pay for hardbacks, especially if you make it a different style. So if someone doesn't want to be caught with something that they would normally see on a shelf, then making it minimal or something works. Or if one just wants it like to be pride of place, then that's also good. And if they're very intellectual, they don't want to be caught with something quite commercial, then this is also very good. They get best of both worlds. Yeah, but it makes it seem more attractive, the middle ground. Even though it probably may have worked better for me in terms of royalties for all the ebooks to be sold, but each to their own. Oh, thank you. I don't know in real time what this delay is. I have no idea. What I'm seeing though is I'm getting pretty much the chat through instantly. Because I'm chatting, it's automatically appearing. I've been monitoring on my phone as well. I don't know where we are up to with lag or bitrate at all. But yeah, I learned about that pricing strategy. I'm not sure at this point if Drawing Red 2 will have a hardback or not, or just like a paperback or an ebook. It's going to depend on my energy. A lot of it's going to depend on my energy because it's a lot to put together in terms of formatting, covers. Because I had art for the front cover, but I had to make the side, the back, I had to put the fonts on, do all the sizing for it. That was a lot. Run to streams before and sometimes they're around 30 seconds behind. Yes. I think the worst I ever came across was with someone who had TTS, so text-to-speech. And they were raising money for charity and it was a cyclothon and they were coming up to the $1 million raised mark. And there was a lot of hype, there was a lot of people watching. It was being advertised on like the front page of Twitch. And their TTS was over 3 hours behind with donations. That's the worst I've ever seen it. People saying, hey, you're about to come up to the 1 million when they passed it like over 2 hours ago. And it was still... people were just not hearing their donations. Yeah, that's about the worst. In order to sort out the bitrate, what I'm going to have to do is I need to end the stream, turn off all my plugins, disable them all, then it'll let me change something like bitrate. Then I've got to turn all my plugins back on and I should be ready again. I don't know why it's saying that though, because I wonder if it's just a YouTube thing, because I've not had that issue yet on Twitch. I've been doing some test streams over at Adara Unwinds, with some games, some tech tests, a lot of audio issues, mainly, frames, that sort of a thing. So I don't know why this has changed. I'm going to have a look at it. It was saying that I was running at about 10,000 kilobytes per second and it recommended 2,500. I wonder what it says now. Yeah, it says about 10,000. Okay. Saying I'm panicking for my next covers and format. I've swapped operating systems. I'm looking for a replacement for Vellum. Now I'm on Linux. Wish me luck. I wonder if the lag's this end because I've added extra plugins. Not sure. Not sure. I will try to clean up this bitrate issue. I have no idea. And we'll see where that goes and see what it can do. I mean, I found on Twitch there's a quirk where some of the plugins I have in the extensions, I've had to disable them all just to be able to access my mod buttons. There's an entire suite of mod things you can do on Twitch, like timeouts, temporary bans, deleting things, just like which appear in the chat. And they were just not appearing for me until I turned off all my extensions. And hey ho, I think the big culprit was ad blocker. Yeah, that's just mean. But it's the same with OBS. I've got to make sure I don't have any outputs. I've got to disable all the plugins before I can change any settings. Because apparently they don't trust us with those things anymore. They used to. It's a bit like the plugin I used to have to kind of blur my work so you could see what I was doing on screen. Between, like, the OBS on the laptop, installing it fresh on this PC, all of a sudden they've disabled your ability to install plugins. you just can't. You can only turn off or on the ones that are kind of there, and some of them don't work anymore. You'll try a few more, then go plugin free and see what happens. I mean, I like a good plugin. The timer that we used was a script, and I just think it was some of my plugins were blocking the scripts for some of the moderator tools. There we go. Back to the main screen. Well, I think that's just about me done for now. I will be back on Friday or Saturday on Twitch with my Wind Spirit Unleashed form to do some colouring or some reading or some just chill out with some games. Who knows? And then I'll be back again on Monday for more writing. VODs of anything I do on Twitch do turn up on YouTube, so that's fine. Did Adara Unwinds. Little VODs channel. I don't know if I'll ever put anything up there independently. Not sure. We'll see. And I think that's it for me. I now need to go and have a bit of a rest before I've got to do a healthcare kind of run tonight. Oh, it's never ending. Thankfully, I think it's only twice this week I've got to leave the house for medical appointments. Normally I can only manage about once a week. I'm still quite tired, but it's gonna have to be done. If say 3, 2, 1, go and I type a reply, then we can see how much delay there is. We go, thanks. Yeah, I quite like that transition with the clouds. It's something I've been able to do now with this PC, is I can do things like that and it won't explode. The motherboard isn't going to kick up a fuss. Okay, right. There's the delay reply. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to wait about 20 seconds and then I'm going to say the countdown. And we'll see how long it takes you. So I'm going to count in my head for 20. Starting now. Three, 2, 1, go. Okay. So, about 18 seconds. Right. Okay. We got it. Thank you. I think we need to do this again at some other time to see if I've improved the bitrate situation or not. I wonder how long it took for you to get the about 18 seconds in chat before I started talking about it, because I typed that beforehand. It is a good test. Thank you. I hope you have a good day. I think by now a lot of other people will be streaming productivity sprints if you want them. I will see you next Monday or over at Adara Unwinds. Okay, thanks. And I'm wishing you all the spoons too, and a lot less brain fog. And say hi to Hoggy. Bye.